வணக்கம் எவ்ரிஒன். என் பேர் மெய்யப்பா மணிக்கம். நான் வந்து ஷாலாம்ல இருக்கேன், மலேசியால. ஸோ இட்ஸ் அ பிளஷர் டு சி ஆல் ஆஃப் யூ இன் பிக்னிக் வித் பேனிக் சீரீஸ் 24. ரைட். ஸோ இந்த சீரீஸ் எப்படி ஆரம்பிச்சிச்சுன்னா, முதல்ல வந்து ஒரு பப்ளிக் ஸ்பீக்கிங் ஒர்க் ஷாப் மாதிரி ஆரம்பிச்சு ஒரு 3 எபிசோட்ஸ்க்கு. ஸோ அப்புறம் வந்து என்ன சஜஷன் பண்ணாங்கன்னா, நீங்க வந்து மற்ற பேச்சாளரை கூப்பிடுங்க. அதாவது யார் யாரு அவங்க துறையில சாதிச்சிருக்காங்களோ இல்ல சாதிச்சுக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்களோ, ஸோ அவங்களுக்கு கூப்பிட்டு பேச சொல்லுங்க. ஒரு கலந்துரையாடல் மாதிரி இருக்கும். சரி, ஸோ அப்படிதான் ஒரு டிஸ்கஷன் மாதிரி பண்ணி, ஸோ அது இது வரைக்கும் ஒரு 24 சீரீஸ் வந்திருக்கு இப்ப. ஸோ ஸ்பீக்கர்ஸ் எல்லாம் நிறைய பேர், சில பேர் மலேசியால இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க, சில பேர் சிங்கப்பூர்ல இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க. அண்ட் போன சீரீஸ் வந்து யூஎஸ்ல இருந்து பேச்சாளர் இருந்தாங்க. ஸோ அதுவும் தவிர்த்து இந்தியா, ஸோ ஒரு 5 அண்ட் ஆல்சோ ஆஸ்திரேலியா. ஸோ தேர் வர் அட்லீஸ்ட் 6 countries to 7 countries there were speakers. அதையும் தவிர்த்து there were at least 250 people around the world have benefited from this Picnic Panic series, all right, and which is exclusive for Nagartar, all right. So today, before I introduce the speaker, போன வருஷத்துல இருந்து this COVID pandemic started. ஸோ அதனால என்ன ஆச்சுன்னா, சில ஆஃபீஸர்ஸ் வந்து வீட்டுல இருந்து வேலை பார்க்க ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க. ஸோ ஒர்க் ஃப்ரம் ஹோம். ஸோ அவங்களுக்கு வந்து எந்த பாதிப்பும் இல்லை. பட் சில பேருக்கு என்ன ஆச்சுன்னா, இந்த ரெஸ்டாரண்ட்ஸ், அந்த காய்கறி கடை வச்சிருக்காங்கல்ல, ஸோ அவங்க வந்து ஒரு குறிப்பிட்ட நேரத்துக்கு ஆப்ரேட் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ அது வந்து பிரச்சனை இல்லை. என்ன ஆச்சுன்னா, இந்த நாள் கூலிக்கு வேலை செய்றாங்கல்ல, டெய்லி பேஸ் வேஜ், ஸோ அவங்களுக்கு வந்து எஃபெக்ட் ஆயிடுச்சு. இந்த கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன், இல்ல இந்த பார்பர் ஷாப், இல்ல இந்த காப்லர். ஓகே. ஸோ ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் வந்து என் வீட்டுக்கிட்ட ஒரு காப்லர் இருக்கான். ஸோ அவன் வந்து ஒரு நாளைக்கு ஒரு 20 ஷூ, ஸ்லிப்பர், இந்த மாதிரி சாண்டில்ஸ் தைக்கணும். அப்பதான் அவனுக்கு வந்து பழைக்க முடியும் அவனால. ஸோ இந்த நடபாடும் கட்டுப்பாட்டு ஆணை, அதாவது மூவ்மெண்ட் கண்ட்ரோல் ஆர்டர், அது இந்த லாக்டவுன், ஓகே, ஊரடங்கு, இது வந்தோடனே இந்த மாதிரி இண்டஸ்ட்ரீஸ் வந்து பாதிச்சிச்சு. ஸோ இவங்களுக்கு வந்து ஆப்ரேட் பண்ண முடியல பிசினஸ். ஸோ அரசாங்கம் வந்து ஓரளவுக்கு உதவி பண்ணாங்க, பட் ரொம்ப உதவி பண்ண முடியல. ஸோ இது என்ன பாதிக்கும்னா, ஏன்னா வருமானம் இல்லை. ஸோ அஃப்கோர்ஸ் சாப்பாடு. ஸோ அதான் பிரச்சனை. இன்னொன்னு என்ன, சின்ன சின்ன ஸ்டால்ஸ் ஓப்பன் பண்றாங்கல்ல அந்த ஆபீஸ் வெளியே. ஸோ அவங்களுக்கும் பாதிச்சிச்சு. ஏன்னா வந்து ஆபீஸை மூடிட்டாங்கல்ல, ஸோ எல்லாம் ஒர்க் ஃப்ரம் ஹோம். அதனால அந்த சின்ன சின்ன ஸ்டால்ஸ் எல்லாம் பாதிச்சிச்சு. ஸோ அவங்களுக்கும் இன்கம் பத்தல. ஸோ அகெயின் ஃபுட் இஸ் அ இஷ்யூ. ஸோ இன்னைக்கு நம்ம பார்க்க போறது வந்து சம்திங் அலாங் வித் ஃபுட். ஓகே, சாப்பாடு, உணவு பத்தி. ஸோ என்னாச்சுன்னா, இப்ப என் வீட்டுக்கிட்ட வந்து ஒரு இடத்துல வந்து எல்லாம் சாப்பாடு நிறைய பேர் யார் டொனேட் பண்றாங்க, டொனேட் பண்ணி, ஸோ அந்த இடத்துல இருந்து யாருக்கு சாப்பாடு வேணுமோ அங்க அந்த ஒரு இடத்துல வந்து ஒரு சென்டர்ல இருந்து கலெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டு போகலாம். ஸோ அந்த சென்டருக்கு பேர் வந்து ஃபுட் பேங்க். Okay, so whoever in need for food, they can just go to that particular place and collect the food. There'll be people who are donating food and daily groceries and necessities to that particular place. So the place which is collecting this thing is called food bank. All right. So what I thought, okay, let's see if there's anyone who is expert or who's dealing with something to do with food bank. So அப்படி ஒரு நாள் வந்து என்னன்னா, ஒரு பிசினஸ் ரேடியோ ஸ்டேஷன் கேட்டுட்டு இருந்தேன். அப்போ வந்து ஒரு பையனோட பேர் வந்துச்சு. ஸோ அப்போ இது நம்ம ஆளுங்களோட பையன் மாதிரி இருக்கேன். ஸோ யாருன்னு கவனிச்சு பார்த்தா இது நம்ம ஆளுங்க தான். ஸோ திஸ் guy has created something. All right. So we will know more about him in soon. All right. So this guy, Sidharrth Nagappan, is actually a youngster. Okay. He's very, very young. Okay. He's still in his teenage age. All right. So he's the co-founder and creator of Sambal SOS App, a mobile application which caters to locate food banks and those in need of food in Malaysia. All right. So as I said, he's still a student and he's a youngster. So for those parents who still have teenage age or university going children, so this is the time to get some inspiration from this guy. All right. So without much ado, let us put our hands to welcome Sidharrth Nagappan. All right. Vanakkam Thambi. How are you?
Okay. Hi.
Okay, very good. So this Sambal SOS app. So what is this app about basically? Maybe you can just explain to us.
The core of Sambal sauce is divided into two aspects. One and to correct obviously the food banks as you mentioned, and the other one is bringing together people who need help, people who want to help. Because I was seeing a lot of these MPs offices and small companies in Malaysia like 99 Speed Mart. They were trying to gather the data of who needs help, யாருக்கெல்லாம் and then they go out and help. But everyone was collecting their own data, so there was no one centralized platform um, for these multiple people to plot the data onto a map. So அதனால me and a few of my friends we decided why not we make one of these apps where people can report themselves and crowdsource the data onto a map. So not only businesses or MPs offices, even ordinary people can see someone near them and immediately go and help them. So it started off as a crowdsourcing platform to gather data onto one place. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So it's basically a application or a mobile phone application where people can go and see where are the food banks located, and you can go and get your food. Or let's say if you want to donate, you can also look for the locations and you can go and donate. All right.
Yeah, not only food
So,
bank, also the reporting helps. Let's say you need help,
mhm,
someone nearby can
right.
view your location and come
Okay.
and help you.
All right. That's fantastic. So before we go further, why is it sambal sauce, a unique name?
So I think my friend had this idea around 1 or 2 days into the once we released the app, because a lot of food banks were being added onto the platform, and we wanted to sustain it, long after COVID. We decided to the sambal is a native food here, and the SOS instead of just being an acronym for sauce, it's also SOS, which is asking for help. So there's a play on words there.
Okay, okay, that's good. Yeah, definitely. When I hear the word sambal, is obviously nasi lemak. All right,
Mm,
so that's the first thing, and obviously, as what you say, the sauce. The first thing is looking for emergency on help, but of course, the other one is the sauce, the chili sauce and stuff. Right, that's good. Very unique Malaysian-based name. Right, fantastic. So before we move on, just to let you all know for the spectators, for the audience, this program is being recorded. So once it's done, I will upload this onto YouTube. All right. And should you have any questions, you can later during the question answer session, you can put on your questions, or you can unmute yourself, ask question, or you can also put it on the chat box. All right. So Siddharth, how did you get this idea basically on the sambal sauce?
I saw that I was looking on Twitter, and then many different entities like businesses or MPs, member of parliament, all the officers were trying to collect data. So they were saying, if you know someone who needs help, then just tweet us or PM this WhatsApp number, and then we will reach out and help them. Because these officers they had allowances for this, but many MPs were collecting their own data. So data was spread across all sorts of people. So people were collecting their own data, and it wasn't in one place for normal people to see. So to ease this and to make sure that all the stakeholders can access data when needed, we decided to make this app where people can report incidents, can report food banks, and then it's all plotted onto one neat map where whether you're an MP, whether you are an ordinary person living in the area, you can see that pin on the map, and then you can go and help.
All right, that's great. Yeah, obviously, if let's say I'm based in Shalam and if I want to help people, I don't know where to go. And
Mm,
of course, you don't see any posters or banners, but with this app, it definitely can locate places for me. And so that's very good, especially on the rural areas. So
mm.
that's fantastic. All right. So, when I was listening to one of your radio interviews, right, you did say that you created this with your friends within 4 days. That's actually a tremendous achievement, creating the app within 4 days. So before going to that, what were the challenges that you faced within these 4 days? You can just share with us.
So the time we went from the inception of the idea all the way to the releasing the app to people, it was around 4 days. The thing was we started with UI mockups, so how the app would look, and then we started building it. And at first, when we released it, we did not expect the kind of traffic that eventually it started to get. We didn't expect it to reach that scale. So when we first released it, there were a few errors and bugs, and some people were reporting like, I'm seeing a blank page. I refreshed 2 times, I still see a blank page. People were tagging in the comments saying that I can't access. So that was when we realized that this had blown up beyond an extent where we had initially anticipated. So that night itself, we started to scale up our servers to make sure that we could handle the loads we were getting. And I think on one day after that, I think we sort of reached a stable build where there were not many bugs anymore, and everyone who wanted to access the app could easily log in and access. But because of the traffic that was coming in at the start, there were a lot of unanticipated bugs and issues, the small problems that we had to solve along the way. Yeah.
All right, okay. So, யார் IT துறையில இருக்கீங்களோ, you would understand this when the term bugs, okay? So, especially when you create a program or a software தயாரிக்கிறீங்க, திடீர்னு கண்டிப்பா பிரச்சனை வரும். ஆரம்பத்திலே அது வந்து சுலபமா போகாது, okay? So, it won't be successful or clean or neat software. So, you will definitely have challenges, and bugs is one of it. And Sidharth சொன்ன மாதிரி the traffic, because users கூட உங்களுக்கு வந்து சில challenges வரும். So, it's how when you go on a car, so when lesser passenger, the petrol consumption lower, but when more passenger, the petrol consumption higher, right? So that's why if you see like Air Asia, they charge higher when you bring in more luggage, right? So it's a common thing. Same goes to IT system. When you have more traffic, more users, definitely you will have other challenges, right? So, but it's great that Sidharth and his team, they managed to handle it and making it smooth now. All right. So, Sidharth, before we go on to the further question, this app, it's applicable throughout Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
Okay, including Sabah, Sarawak.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's fantastic. So, because the reason, because in Malaysia we have 14 states, right? Actually 13 states plus 3 federal territory, and Sabah, Sarawak is where you have in East Malaysia, where you have a lot of rural areas. So, definitely this app would be helpful for them. All right. So, Siddharth, now it's an interesting question. நிறைய பேர் என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னா, நீ என்னப்பா சின்ன பையன், உனக்கு எதுக்கு இந்த பிரச்சனை, நீ பாட்டுக்கு யூனிவர்சிட்டி போனோமா, படிச்சோமா, வீட்டுக்கு வந்தமா இருக்கணும், வீட்டு வேலையை பார்த்தோமா, உனக்கு ஏன் இந்த வேலை? So, when you hear this kind of comment, how did you take it?
Not many people ask the question, but generally, I mean, under Naruto, we had the semester break. We were on semester break, and we had a bit of extra time. So even when we got the idea, we had the time to execute it, and so we just went ahead and did it. But beyond that, it's also we had the skills, we knew how to do it, and a few of us were very interested in doing it. So we just thought, why not? Yeah, why not?
All right. That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. As you said, you already have the skill, and when you're not putting it on place, then it's useless. So it's great that you used it at the right time. And from the way you said, obviously you would have received a lot of encouragements rather than setbacks or, so-called, I won't say negative words, but so-called like sabotages, right? So it's good that you moved on. Okay, so it's fantastic. So கரெக்டான நேரத்துல கரெக்டான சாஃப்ட்வேரை தயாரிச்சிருக்காங்க. So it's fantastic on that. ஓகே, ஸோ கண்டிப்பா இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கவங்க வந்து நிறைய பேர் they have children's or relatives who have youngsters, right? So what are your advices for these youngsters?
If you okay, for this question, if you have an idea, go ahead and try it. I think it's okay if I mean, we also didn't expect the kind of traffic we got later. We started as a hobby project, something we just did for fun. We thought a few people would use it, and then after a few days, the hype would just go off. But sometimes ideas can blow up, and especially during the pandemic and all the things going on in the world. If you have an idea, go ahead and execute it. Anything can happen.
Right. Yep, that's great. So obviously, when you have idea, it's just you just execute it. So whether it's pass or fail, that's a separate matter. But at least people like Siddharth, he moved on. All right. So that's fantastic. So I can actually relate back to Picnic Panic series. I just started with 3 episodes. Then I didn't know how it will go on, but I just went on. All right. So ways moving on, there were points for improvement. I just improved on myself, on the organization itself. So and yeah, here we are here today with the 24th series. So it's fantastic. So as what Siddharth said, you so long you have idea, just go ahead. Right. So long obstacles, you just go ahead with that. All right. So it's fantastic. So Siddharth, another question is one of the audience wanted to ask this. What did your parents say when you said you had this idea?
Um, I think we didn't tell our parents on the first day. We just started to. I mean, we didn't even think it would make it beyond the first day at first because we were just trying to start developing. And then so after around a day, I told my parents, and very supportive. And they started to give a lot of ideas. So I think the food banks thing actually, at first it was just a reporting app, but adding the food banks plotting and searching for food banks was actually not my idea. It was actually my father's idea. So that was when we brought everything onto one map. So they were very supportive in giving ideas, and later on when we started to scale up, um, uh, our parents were quite instrumental in helping us find sponsors and giving us constant advice as to how to deal with problems as they come.
All right, that's fantastic. Actually, கேட்கவே மகிழ்ச்சியா இருக்கு because the parents rather than pulling you down and dishing off your ideas, so they actually supported you and encouraged you and give you ideas. So that's fantastic. So at least they give you a lot of moral support. So that's great. All right. So it's fantastic. So now you have created the app. It covers the whole Malaysia. So what is your next aim or your future aim, kind of thing?
So currently, the app caters to mainly just reporting incidents. So someone needs help, they can raise an SOS signal, and then people can help. And number two is obviously the food banks.
Okay.
So people can report food banks, and it's added to the map. So beyond this, we are trying to make the system a bit more because right now every single report is manually filtered by the team. So since it's an open source project, open source as in the code we wrote, it's publicly available for other people to see, and we want it to be a community effort. So we're making it, we're sort of streamlining the workflow of approving different requests that come in. So building an admin panel, and trying to automate the review process. So making the workflow a bit smoother, so other people can volunteers and the community can come forward to help us maintain the app for as long as we can last. Yeah.
All right, that's great. So it's great to know your idea. So because you can't be just stagnant at one place, you need to move and expand. So it's great to know that you have these ideas to expand and getting in more people, all right? Because நீங்க ஒரு 3 பேர் வச்சு ஆரம்பிச்சீங்க, but you can't just stay with 3 people. You need more people and ideas and stuff. So it's great on that. All right. So for audience, if you have any questions you would like to ask Sidharth, feel free to ask, or you can just put it on the chat box. That's fine. All right. So Siddharth, one of my cousin brother, he was asking me that, okay, in the app தயாரிக்கிறதுக்கு, do you need to have computer science background or IT background, or if let's say I'm an accountant or maybe a lawyer, can I do this?
These days, there are because of the resources available, it's actually much easier. You don't need any computer science background to build most apps these days. Even though most apps, if you write code from scratch, then you need a CS background. But these days, there are a lot of app builders, and there are a lot of easier drag and drop tools these days to build these apps. So if you have an idea and you want to mock it up as a prototype, you don't need to have a computer science background to take it out there. But as it grows, then yeah, you sort of need to bring in people and grow a team where you can write a code base that is able to scale. But at the start, um, it is much easier now to create apps using drag and drop builders.
All right. That's great. Yeah. So for the audience, you can just take note that it's not necessary for you to have a computer science or IT background, yet you can still create an app, right? So it's similar to, your video editing, or, a voice recording where you can just go onto YouTube, you can edit your videos and stuff. There are a lot of softwares available, and you don't need to really master graphics background or editing background, right? So it's similar. So like what Siddharth said, so not to worry. Okay, you already have that platform, so you can go ahead with that. Okay. So Siddharth, next question maybe I'll ask is, இதை செய்யறதுக்கு usually people will say there's huge investment involved. நிறைய பணம் தேவைப்படும்,
Okay,
so
that's a good question.
yeah. So how did you manage that, the finance side?
Okay, so it's actually a very interesting question, actually, because when we started with a zero budget. So I think few of us, I think each of us put in I think 100 ringgit each just for pay for the hosting at the start. And we'd actually won a certain sum of money in a recent competition. So the three of us were in that team also. So we just decided to put half of it into this project at the start. So when we first released it, all the plans we used to host our project was on the free version. So, but obviously on Sunday when it did reach the traffic, it started to break because the free version did not support the scale we were getting. So after that, a very generous sponsor in the developer community, one of I think a SME in Malaysia, he contacted us and he said, "Okay, I'll put your servers on my cloud." So he sponsored our backend. So that night we migrated our code from uh, our free hosting we were using to his backend, and he did give us a very good instance, and that was extremely fast. So that was sorted. Um, and a few days later, I mean, since he was also paying for the Google Maps at that point, so the Google Maps you see, because every time you load the page, it actually costs something because there's a quota on using the maps. At the start, he was also covering that, but later we were able to obtain sponsorship from Google Malaysia. So they gave us a bunch of credits to use for this because the platform was, I think a package was called Maps Platform Credits for Crisis Responders. So since we were building a crisis project, they gave us some credits to use, and a combination of sponsorships and free credits in Google Malaysia, we were able to sustain until now.
All right, that's great to know. So it reminds me of the Paulo Coelho's quotes. When you have your vision and focus, the universe conspires to help you to achieve your focus and your purpose. So definitely what Siddharth said is true. So because he was focused, he and his team, and அவங்க வந்து ஒரு எல்லையை நோக்கி போயிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. So as long you're focused, you never give up, there will be people who will be coming and assisting you. The universe will set up in such way. So we can see that as a good example here and evidence, right? Great job. So yeah, for the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Right, there are a few questions here. So how long did you took to develop this app?
Initial beta version, which was just a sort of preview of what's coming, it took around 2 days. The actual full version took around 4 days. And to make it stable without errors and bugs, and every time someone logs in, it's a smooth experience. That one took around a week.
Wow.
I think it's still going. That process and making it smooth. Every day we find new small issues here and there.
Okay, so ஒரு 2 வாரத்துல ஒரு stable app உருவாக்கிட்டீங்க within 2 weeks. Wow, that's fantastic. It's good. So what is the main tool or special programming that you use for this app?
I will drop the language for those of you familiar, we use JavaScript, and the stack is, let me just type it down here. That's the language we used, and if you want to read about the development process, I'm putting a link there also.
All right, great. Yeah, Sidharth has shared the link and also the software name, JavaScript. So for those who are involved in engineering IT, you would be aware of this, right? So the third question is, I think this is more on yourself, because you said there were two other co-founders with you, so there are three of you. So what was your main involvement or your scope in
Um,
this?
my friend was the UI person designing the UI. I was mostly on the coding side, the backend side, scaling the servers yeah. So more on the backend side than the design.
All right, that's great. So as although they are three of them, அவங்களுக்குள்ளே அந்த வேலையை பிரிச்சுக்கிட்டாங்க. So they were able to work as a team. All right. So of course, on the soft skill side, they had that communication, cooperation. They managed to cooperate well and gel well. And as I said, they had the same purpose, the same vision. So that's why they managed to achieve this. Right. So yeah. Is there any other questions for the audience to ask? Feel free. Okay, so maybe while we wait for the questions to come, maybe Sidharth, I can ask you, let's say if there's someone from Singapore or Thailand, our bordering countries, came and approach you, okay, can you expand this to overseas? Is this feasible to do it?
So currently, the app itself, since the code is open source, anyone can pull it and adapt it to their own use. So if someone wants to use this app in their own country or their community, it's as simple as just pulling it down. And just modifying a few small things, and it will work perfectly as long as you host it yourself. If it's just our app itself that's expanding, then we need to expand our sponsorships to support more people using the app across other countries. But it's certainly doable. Yes.
All right, that's great. Yeah, when your so-called the scale increases, your equipments also increases, right? So that's understandable. And as Sidharth said, it's not like a patented app, so anyone can actually download the basic thing and you can create on your own. All right, so that's what he said. All right, so it's similar to like a cake recipe. You can just download it from online and do your own cake, which is the same butter cake or something, or a chocolate cake, right? So it's the same so-called recipe in the sense. Okay, so there's no like a patented things here involved. All right. Okay. Now, Sidharth, you have achieved as a creator. So someone is asking, are you planning to give training to the kids who are budding app developers? Are you willing?
Uh, sure, sure, can.
All right. Yeah. Kandipa, when there's interest and there's a support, when there's a number of people, yeah, we can try to organize this. Yeah, especially with this current pandemic, we can always go online and create things. And this is IT, so obviously Siddharth can do it virtually itself. All right. So yeah, there's another question. Is since Siddharth, you said even though common, it's not patented, anyone can download it and create their own app. All right.
Yeah.
Are you planning to patent this?
No, it will never be patented. It's the term we use, and it's called open source, which means that what we use to build it and any code we write is in the public domain. So even though we started as only a team of 3 people, we got a lot of volunteers that actually wanted to help, and a lot of volunteers contributed their own code to our code base. And I think in the past few weeks, we had at least 6 or 7 people, some studying in the US. I think there's Malaysian studying in the US. He's also part of the team now. Any code we write is in the public domain. It will never be patented. Yeah.
All right, that's great. So from here, I can see that you don't only have your founders who are in Malaysia, you also have people helping you from overseas.
Yeah.
To support the app. Oh, that's fantastic. All right. So the next question is, you already created a app for food bank and emergency help, all right, assistance. Is there any other plans to create any other apps in future apart from this food bank?
Currently, we're just trying to make this stable and keep it running. As of now, we don't have any plans. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. So because currently with the pandemic, stabilizing this app is the main focus now. Right. That's great. So obviously we are looking forward for more apps and stuff like that, from you maybe in future, when there's for different situations, right? So yeah, for the audience, feel free to ask any questions. You have the young achiever here, and I understand you're still below 20.
19.
Wow. Okay. I didn't want to disclose the exact age, but yeah. All right. It's fantastic. So, yeah, someone below 20, and he has reached throughout Malaysia with just merely on the fingertips, right? So through mobile apps and stuff. Fantastic. So maybe my next question, just to wait for the audience to ask, just wait. Of course, when you develop these, you need IT equipments like laptop and your phone and of course a tab or something. All right. So சில பேர் என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னா எனக்கு ஒரு 4-5 கம்ப்யூட்டர் வேணும் அப்பதான் நான் வேலை பார்ப்பேன். Okay, or a little bit like photographers, they say they always have 2-3 cameras and stuff. So on the logistics side, how did you manage to this kind of equipment? Do you need a lot of equipments and
No.
that?
No. One laptop and internet connection is enough these days.
Okay, oh, that's great. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, just one laptop is sufficient, and of course a good internet connection. All right. So yeah, someone is asking, how do we access the app?
To access the see the link. It's a web application, which means it can be accessed on any device. So if you use it on mobile, it behaves like a native app. Use it on the web, it behaves like a website. So anyone can access.
Okay, so you can access via mobile phone and also laptop or computer, right? So yeah, so this is the website sambalsos.com. So this is if you want access via your PC or your tab, your laptop. And let's say if you are using Android or iPhone, right, or Apple phone, you can download the Sambal SOS app.
No, it's not available on the App Store. You have to.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
Web application.
Oh, web app. All right. So you have to still go through your Google or Internet Explorer via your phone because there's no app and you can do that. Yep. So another question is, since you said you took initially 2 days and then 4 days, and for finally you took another 6 days extra. So were there any like sleepless nights or you were stressed? And sometimes when you get stressed, the team also gets stressed. And so how did you manage the stress? And also, were there any conflicts in between your team and how you managed that?
At the start, there were, the initial few days, there were sleepless nights. And once we released also, it was a bit stressful because, there were new small issues coming up, people couldn't access, and we had to fix up small errors. And yeah, it was a bit frustrating at those moments. Because sometimes we were looking for an error somewhere, but we couldn't find it, but it was still there. And
Right.
yeah.
Okay. That's great, but the good thing is you all still stayed together. Sometimes there were certain teams அப்படியே பிஞ்சு போயிடுவாங்க. நீ உன் வேலையை பார்த்துக்க நான் என் வேலையை பார்த்துக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு. But it's good that you all still stayed together, so that was great, right? So the next thing is, do we need to register our email account or it can be connected through Facebook?
Email and password is not stored. You can either log into Google or log into Facebook.
Okay.
So there is no email password login.
All right. So it has to be only Facebook or Google, right?
Yeah.
If let's say you have Yahoo email, you can't use it.
Most of the traffic we got at the moment, for security purposes, we don't store anyone's names or their personal details, just their email. That's it.
Okay.
That's why we're using Google and Facebook for now.
All right. Yeah, that was the next question I want to ask because I'm handling compliance and some data privacy matters. So when people want to register this, they need to give their personal details. So how do you manage this data privacy matters?
Okay, this is a bit nuanced. So when logging in, the only thing we store in our database is your email. That's it. So no name, no age, no photo, nothing. When someone makes a report voluntarily, by doing so, they agree to a policy that the data they use will go into the public domain. So let's say they put details about their phone number or their address in one of those boxes we provide. then they understand that it goes out in the public domain for a period of 1 week. After 1 week, the SOS report expires automatically. And besides that, all reports that come through on the platform are manually filtered by us. So every time someone makes a report, we have to approve it first before it shows up on the map. So in this way, we make sure that the photos they upload, that no one's faces are there. If it has a face posted and we manually download it, we remove the face or redact it and then we upload. So to really ensure that no one's privacy is breached. Yeah.
Right. That's great. So yeah, for the audience, just to let you know, they only collect emails and any other data that they collected, it only lasts for a week, okay, maximum a week. So it will not last more than that. So no need to worry on the data privacy issues. All right. So another question here, beside technical challenges, what are the other challenges you face during this journey?
The challenges, when there were long periods of fixing issues and all, there were definitely conflicts within the team. So we used to argue about things, but eventually we didn't solve any differences we had, and we did get through. But there were frustrating moments when, when the team was at its peak, and we really had to get through a lot of problems when the app started to grow.
All right. That's good. So, they always say when there is a setback in a journey, it's actually something is setting you back to come back stronger. All right. So that is a quote that I've heard. So definitely you made it stronger. You came back from all those setbacks and yeah, you have achieved it today. It's fantastic. And the important thing I can learn is, so not everything will be a smooth journey. You will have challenges, obstacles. So even our team, they did had misunderstanding and issues, but they still stick together, stay together. So something I can learn even from youngsters, that the teamwork is there, the bonding is there. All right, they never give up on each other. So the important thing is the vision. They had their vision, they had their objective, and they were still moving on as a team. So it's fantastic. Something, outside technical thing that I can learn. Obviously, people also can learn from this thing. All right. So there's a question here. Any plan to expand outside Malaysia?
As of now, we are not planning to. But given the right sponsors and people who can help maintain it in other countries, then yes, it would definitely be on the table. But for now, no.
All right. Yeah. Not for short term, but probably a longer term. That could be one of
Yeah.
your prospect. All right. That's great. So yeah, for the past, I think 40 minutes, we have been listening to a lot of good stories, good messages. Although they are youngsters, but today I learned that they too had frustrating moments. They too had some issues, conflict, but they still managed. All right. So the teamwork is there, conflict management is there, and of course the sleepless nights will be there. If you want to achieve things, it will be there, and the stress moments. But they still came through all this, so they never give up. And again, they had their vision. They just focused on their vision. They moved on. All right. So there were a lot of good messages or elements that I learned. Even myself, I've learned today. All right, that's great. So of course, apart from creating an app, you need technical knowledge and stuff. That's common. But on the soft skills, this is something new, and we will learn this. All right. And of course, as a parent, if let's say your kids wants to achieve something, want to do something different, today we have seen and great evidence. So please don't stop them. Please encourage them. All right. So at least if you don't support them, at least don't sabotage them. Okay, let them to do what they want, so long it's something good. All right, something valuable. And these three youngsters has created. All right, and it's not only for one particular community or one particular area. It's actually throughout Malaysia. All right. So this particular app is usable throughout Malaysia. That's fantastic. Right. Everyone is benefiting it. So there's another question here. There are a lot of people objects when it comes to application. Was there any for Sambal SOS?
Objections, you mean, from the public?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So at the start, before we became Sambal SOS, for around a day, we were I think some people noticed we were the Bandura Putih app at the start. And that sort of had sentiments that were not intended at the start, so it was about helping people, and there were some misunderstandings as to what the app was for, and but overall, the majority, the bigger chunk of support was that this app is useful and imminent, at a point of time where people really need help. Yeah.
All right. That's great. Yeah, I did read one of the articles or the web page there. You initially started with the Bendera Putih, and of course in Malaysia, Bendera Putih means it's a white flag, right? But it was linked to some political agenda and stuff. But of course, your team managed to rebrand the thing, so that was good. It was a short term. You managed to tweak it, so that's fantastic. So you also managed to manage those kind of challenges immediately, so it's fantastic. All right. So, this is an interesting story, actually, the Bendera Putih thing. You managed to rebrand it. So that's good. So is there any other interesting story of someone you have helped through this Sambal SOS app?
I think I remember someone could not log in, and then they messaged our Facebook page, and I think I responded, and then he said he was looking to make a report, but he didn't know how to do it. Sending this elderly man, and then he sent us details, and then I lodged a report from my side, and then that night itself he messaged us again, saying that in just a few hours, like 5 people called him asking how they can help, and he's already gotten a lot of help from like a few people in his area, and then more help is coming tomorrow. Um, that was pretty interesting, because that was the first time I actually saw that the app was the people were actually using it, and when you make a report, there are people that see it and come to help. So that was quite heartwarming.
Mm-hmm. All right. They always say, of course, people need money, but apart from money, the great income or the recipient would be the blessings from people, people appreciating you, people blessing you. And I can see that through this app, people has already appreciated you, giving you blessings. So you have actually touched their hearts technologically, I would say. So it's fantastic. Right.
Okay.
So
The reason we ask people to log into Facebook is to make sure that anyone who uses the app is not a bot. So bot is like people who try to log in using it's not a real person, right? It's like someone's visiting the page, but it's not actually a person. Just to make sure that it's actually a person, we ask for authentication flow. The only thing that we take from your Facebook is your email address. That's it, nothing else. So when we store the email database, we only store it as the email. No other details from Facebook will be exposed to us. We don't have permission for that. So when you click that button, the only thing you're giving us is your email address, which we store to make sure that you're an actual person.
All right, that's great. So Sidharth has given a reassurance that no other personal details will be shared. All right, only the email. Okay, so no other photos or nothing, no mobile phone numbers or something. Right. Okay, so it is secured app, so not to worry on that. So, any other questions to the speaker here? I realized the app it's actually in English. So is there any plans to make it in
So
4 language?
no. There are 3 languages. You have to click there'll be a word button there. You click it. We have
Okay.
English, Malay, and Chinese.
All right. Okay. So any plans to bring in Tamil?
I'm
Just a little
actually,
easy.
I wanted to ask my mother actually that day, but no time yet. I have to when I have Tamil. Yeah.
All right. All right. So it's in progress. All
Yeah.
right. That's great. Okay. So there's another question here. Does this application generate any income for you guys?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. No.
All right. Okay. 'Cause some people will be asking, is there any commissions that you receive?
No.
Just like the e-hailing services.
No. This is not at all. No.
Okay. So this purely voluntary, this purely charity. So
Yes.
yeah, no income.
At all.
Basically no money is involved. Yeah.
No money is involved from our
Yeah.
side. Yes.
The only thing that they did, they put in their own money to actually generate this app, the application. Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Future plans on development. As I said, we're trying to make it easier for volunteers to help us check the reports people make. Because right now that a few of us are doing it, and there's a lot of reports that are coming in. So when volunteers want to help, we want to create this sort of admin panel where volunteers can log in and approve. And so we're working on that. So sort of just making the whole workflow in such a way that community and volunteers can take over to maintain the app when the time comes.
All right. So you mean you are planning to like give it away to someone else? This app
Not
be
give it away,
managing.
but for example, like moderating the reports that come in. So when volunteers want to help out, we want to make it easier for them to help.
All right, I understand. Okay, that's great. So, so for those who are actually, because we have audience from India, from Singapore, apart from Malaysia, so obviously some of them, they would also be interested in this similar idea to be developed in their country. So if you're interested, do reach out to Sidharth, all right, for if you have any ideas, all right. So as Sidharth said, the platform is a generic platform. It's not patented, so it can be done in the respective countries. All right. So, Siddharth, I was referring to one of the previous, like Uber and, some other services where people took over. Some bigger companies will come and take over, like they always say, big fish eat small fish, right? So if let's say that would have happened to you, what would you do?
Big fish eat small fish. I mean, this is not a commercial product, so there's nothing to sell or nothing to generate anything from this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a community project. That's all.
All right, that's good. Yeah, because this is a community project, of course. Based on the previous question, there's no profit here, or there's no income generated. So obviously, you would not see any big fishes coming and eating the small fishes, in a sense. But of course, there could be opportunity for collaboration. You may need to, you could team up with someone else, some other groups or something. All right, that's great. All right. So again, this is they are doing purely on charity. They are helping people, right? And through this application, you can actually reach out to the people around the country. Okay, it's not only one particular area, so it's great. Okay, so as in especially in Malaysia, things are still bad. So obviously certain industries are closing down, certain companies are closing down. So food is in need, definitely is in need. So food banks is one of the crucial thing. And apart from that, any emergency helps. Obviously it's there with the app. Okay, so yeah, let's take one more question before we end the session, right? So if anyone interested, you can still unmute and speak out, so no problem. Okay. All right, a common student will ask, I'm actually studying, I got my assignments, I got my exams, mid-semester exams or whatever. So I'm sure you as a student, you also have all these things common. So how did you manage your time developing the app and also managing your studies?
At the time when we made the app, we were on semester break, so there were no classes.
Right.
So we had more time to work on it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So usually இந்த விடுமுறை காலத்துல வந்து நிறைய பேர் ரெஸ்ட் எடுப்பாங்க, ஊர் சுத்தி பார்ப்பாங்க. பட் இந்த காலகட்டத்துல வந்து ஊர் சுத்தி பார்க்க முடியாது. ஸோ அட்லீஸ்ட் ஒரு மக்களுக்கு பயன்படுற விஷயமா அது செய்யலாம்னு. ஸோ தட்ஸ் வை these youngsters they came up with these things, right? So it's great to know that they never waste their time. They really used their time well, right? So yeah, any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Yeah, yes, Anne, go.
I have typed over here, but I think it's missed out. What's your future plan on the app development?
Oh, okay. As I currently, the team is doing most of the moderating work. We're trying to make it easier for volunteers to help us moderate incidents that are reported on the app. So trying to sort of make the workflow easier so other people can also help. Yeah, that's our current short-term plan. That's what we're working on now. And also another aspect is, the food bank list right now, it's actually static, which means that we have to update it now and then. It updates my Google Sheets file. So we've been collaborating with this other organization in Malaysia, and they actually curate a live, like a real-time food banks list. So let's say a food bank runs out of food after 2 hours, then their system will remove it from the list because they don't have any more food at that time. So we are trying to integrate our food banks list with theirs, so we have a more accurate representation of how many food banks are there, and then what type of food each food bank has, the halal thing, and amount of food they have left. And let's say a food bank runs out of food, within 1 or 2 hours, the app will update itself to show that this food bank is no longer available for the day. Trying to make that part a bit more dynamic.
Yeah, agree. So yeah, updating the datas and the details are crucial because இப்போ திடீர்னு எனக்கு ஒரு சாப்பாடு வேணும், ஒரு இடத்துக்கு போறேன்னா from the app I can see it's there, but actually அந்த location போனா இருக்காது. So like what you said, it's not updated. So yeah, that's crucial here. So there's another question here. What is your current background and any specific majoring you're pursuing?
I'm a computer science student right now. I am pursuing a specialization in data science. Currently in my second year.
All right, great. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, he's a university student. All right, so he's still below 20 in his teenage, yet he has created a great achievement. Right, that's great. All right, so yeah, we are reaching towards the end of the session. So any final words from you, Sidharth?
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
All right, yeah. Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure to have you in our session today because, the PNV Panic series or 23 series 3 is 24th. So we had people from different background, different age demography. All right. So it's not only the seniors, we had middle age, we had youngsters. So we cater for everyone. Okay, generic topic. All right. So I just want to wish you all the best and thank you very much for attending the session and sharing all your knowledges with us. Right. It's definitely inspiring. Apart from the technical things, we learn the soft skill side of this thing, what happened background. So it's fantastic. Right. So for the audience, if you have any other suggestion, any other suggested speakers, do let me know. All right. I can reach out to them. All right. Any other topics. Okay. So with that, stay safe. Have a great evening. Thank you very much. Vanakkam.